let's see, babe. Nope. Nope. Why can't I see it? This is crazy. Are you sure it's on my page? I don't know why it's not letting me see it. Is that crazy or what? I did, like 3 times. Alright, let me do it again. I'll restart my thing. Let's see what happens. I don't want it on the Geri Petito show. It's got to be on my personal thing. I signed into my personal page. I don't sign into the Geri Petito show ever. Well, I didn't sign into that. Oh, okay. I wouldn't have had to sign into that. They're hiding it from me. That's great.
Test 1 2. Test
Hey
1
guys
2.
out there, I can't find you people. Do you want that fan back on? Okay. See what happens now. Alright, let's see, baby. See? Nope. It's hiding it from me. It's not on my page. That's crazy. Who's 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 watching it already? No, no. I mean, they know that. That's not the issue. I'm talking about, like, are they my friends that are seeing it or someone else's? Because it's not on my page. This is weird. I don't understand. I don't have it. It's right here. It's not on it. That's my page. It's on my phone, maybe for some reason. I don't know why it's not showing up. All right, I'm not on the tablet, but I'm on the phone. All right, guys. Thanks, Angela. I see that we're on. Australia's saying hello to you, by the way. All right, guys.
Hello.
We're gonna. Isn't that crazy, right? We're gonna start in a couple of minutes, guys. Crazy, right?
But you have it on your phone, though, right?
Yeah, I got it on my phone. It won't go on here for some reason. All right, let's turn this guy off. I don't know. Let's see. Let me leave it here and see what happens. Guys, we're gonna be starting in a couple minutes out there. Guys, unfortunately, we're not going to take any phone callers. Do you want? Okay, we're not going to take any callers, guys. I think it's best. Alright, it's not showing up on here. That's crazy. Okay, Make sure there's no media. That's good. All right, so we're here, guys. Hey, can you guys hear us? Hello? Can you say hi?
Hi there.
Are you guys? Can you hear us? Okay, guys.
Hi there. 1, 2, 3.
Do you hear us or no? Do you need us louder or we're good?
1, 2. Can you hear me okay, guys? 1, 2, 3.
That was Australia trying to call to say hello to you, by the way.
Oh,
Australia's in the house. Angela,
it's-
sir, we love you, girl.
beautiful country.
Okay, my favorite. My home away from home. Hello, everyone. Sharon's here. Sharon, stay on, baby. We're going to show a beautiful photo, okay? Stay on with us. The beginning, okay, sweetheart? Okay. Okay, guys. We're ready to start, guys. Angela, sir, hi from Australia.
Ladies and gentlemen, Geri Petito.
I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
When you don't know just what to do,
Just what to do, just what to do.
if what you're feeling is really true,
Is really true, is it really true?
just keep your ideas safe and sound.
Safe and sound, safe and sound.
That's exactly how change is found.
Change is found, change is found. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. And in time this too shall pass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Geri Petito taught the class. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. Love's the answer, the greener grass. I'm not an addict, I'm just an ass. One day at a time, free at last.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geri Petito Show on HamiltonRadio.net. I have a couple announcements to make first before I introduce my amazing guest tonight. Okay. First of all, I've been picked up by 2 other networks as well. PANJ Radio, the first Wednesday of every month, 3 p.m. I've been picked up by Beverly Nation every other Monday. You can catch me, I believe it's next Monday night, 10 p.m. Brother O, Rob Bell, thank you so much for this opportunity. And guys, it's all because of Hamilton Radio. Hamilton Radio is where it's all started from. And, you know, I just can't say enough about Hamilton Radio, how much I love it. Through Hamilton Radio, I've been able to help so many people with this show, and I just want to continue it and keep going with it. But unfortunately, tonight, I have a very, very sad announcement to make. Okay, Ruben? Yes. We want to pay tribute to this amazing young little boy, 4 years old, Lucas Hines. He drowned. He didn't make it. We had a prayer chain out for this poor child, his family. They're part of Hamilton Radio as well. I just want to say that, you know, Maureen, Jersey Shore Angel, Sharon, the grandmother, and the father, Dave, they're all part of Hamilton Radio, and we love you all. And there's nothing we can say to comfort you guys at this time, but there is a GoFundMe page out there, everybody. Support Love for Lucas, okay? www.gofundme.com, okay? Love for Lucas. And if you guys want to donate and you can't find the link, it's okay. Just get in touch with me, get in touch with Doc G. We can help you find it because, you know, this is probably one GoFundMe that I think is probably really, really needed, necessary, and worth it, okay, guys? So, again, to the family, to the beautiful family, we love you all, and we are so sorry. Again, you know, nothing we can say can comfort you at this time, but he's an angel now, okay? And again, we're just so sorry, guys, okay? So sorry. What a tragedy. Okay, so Sharon, his grandmother did want me to say something about pools, guys. Please watch your kids by pools. Get them all swimming lessons. I think I'm going to talk to Robbinsville Police Station. I'm working with them with a program called Care for Drug Addiction, and I think I'm going to talk to them about getting all young children swimming lessons. Okay, my granddaughter just turned 3, and she can dive off a diving board. We've got to do something about this for our kids. Okay, so again, to the family, we love you here at Hamilton Radio. You're our family, and we're so, so sorry. So, having said that, so my guest here tonight, why don't you first tell everyone who you are?
Hi there. I am Douglas Hines.
Okay. I'm going to read Douglas Hines' poem, and then you're going to get the gist of who he is, okay? Okay. True Companion Robot is the title of this poem, guys. My guest tonight is Doug. Douglas Hines is his full name. You won't believe what's gotten Doug his new trophies claim the fame. True Companion Robot was the name given by choice. I'm hoping for a male one, Elvis's twin with his voice. I'd be the first to buy it, a deal we both can make. I clean your house forever, in exchange the Elvis I take. This robot seems insane, a concept out in space. The thought that this is real brings me to another place. I'm so intrigued to hear what led you on this path. I'm sure you hear it all, taking the good with the wrath. Let's hear all about it. I really can't wait. Myself and my audience all inked in this date. This show will break records, I promise you this. This is one show my viewers won't miss. We're all over the world, Geri Petito show is true, and you were on Dr. Oz. Damn, I want to be too. So I give you the floor. Hamilton Radio is set. Doc G is going crazy. He wants one for a pet. I'm sure you've been asked, does companion mean sex? I'm sure people will replace robots with their ex. Douglas Hines, you're the man who has so much to tell. Your true companion robot, amazing qualities will sell. Douglas Hines, this is for you.
Well, thank you very much. That's very touching and beautiful.
And a copy of my book is for you as well.
Thank you.
So, I have so many questions. Before I even start, I would like you to tell everybody a little bit about you. What brought you to this place?
Yeah. So, what would make a quiet, easygoing guy in the suburbs build a sex robot? That's a very good question. It's actually not what you would think it would be. It actually has very little to do with sex.
Okay.
And has much more to do with companionship, which is actually part of the question, which you asked, does companionship, does that mean sex? So why don't I start at the beginning?
Yes, please.
And go from there. So long story short, I'm an electrical engineer, computer science person that has a background in artificial intelligence. So I have a tendency to always think analytically. I'll share with something very near and dear to me with you and your audience. So I had a friend who passed away, and so he died in the World Trade Center 9/11. So from that experience, I was so devastated and so beside myself, I couldn't handle the grieving. And so what does a nerdy guy do when he loses a friend? What this nerdy guy did is I created a personality online that is basically a representation of my friend, because I missed him so much. And he has had 2 little boys who are now teenagers that don't have those life lessons that we all take for granted. You know, we think about it, day in, day out, all the little things that you tell your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors, people you meet to kind of help them with, life lessons, they will not have. So I thought if I created a personality, his children can interact with their father. And I know that sounds kind of odd, but that's what I did. And my wife, God bless her, she put up with me. What I ended up doing is thinking about how I can monetize this technology. Basically, what I did is from artificial intelligence, I took basically the software, the ability, that part of it, along with the machinery, the hardware, basically brought it all together and thought about how we can apply a personality onto it. So not only do we have a personality that I started with, but then I applied it to a robotic platform. And that's what we have at truecompanion.com is robots that look like people. And so I imbued or applied the personality to the robots, and that's the beginning of True Companion.
Wow. Okay. So I have a question about the children. So how did they feel about this robot that
Yeah.
looked like their dad?
Yeah. So the press caught this. They caught a part of it, and I won't mention the name of the company, but
Okay.
it was one of the main companies that was impacted in the World Trade Center. They asked me to please not bring up the person's name, the family, or the company.
Okay.
They didn't ask me. I had to sign a piece of paper,
Okay.
which required me to not
Right.
mention that information. So I really can't speak to
That's
that.
okay.
But what I can say is that it was a beautiful experience that allowed me to basically create an opportunity, and that's what your show is all about. It's about helping people,
That's right.
and that's why I'm so happy to be here and
Oh,
be with
thank
you.
Wow.
And that's what we're all about. At True Companion, we're all about helping people, providing unconditional love and support.
Okay.
And so and that's the phrase or the gist of who we are. We're all about providing unconditional love and support. And by the way, part of that is sex, but it's a very small part of it. And for people out there that have been with a partner for many years, you might be able to kind of relate to this. Eventually, the spark, if you will, kind of slows down over time. But what builds is the ember that burns brightly, the relationship, the core, the connection that you have with people. And that's what we're working to replicate within our True Companion. And that's why the company's called True Companion, because we wanted to create a companion that's not, and so we didn't call the company Sex Robot, because that's too, I'll call it, the first level, if you will, and that's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But after, you hold hands for a little while, you want to talk to the person, right? So it was important to go ahead and build into the system idiosyncrasies, telling jokes, singing, even snoring, which is kind of cool because my wife snores, my mother snored. I'm used to having snoring around me, and we have a robot at home, two robots. One is in the basement and one is on the first floor. So we have two robots in the house, and so it's just amazing to be able to sit down and talk with a robot, interact with a robot, and interact in every sense of the word. And so that's what we're all about. We're about the continuum of social engagement, of helping people. And that goes from the, just saying, hi, how are you after work, to holding hands, cuddling, hugging. The robots are fully articulated. They move their arms, their hips move, their head moves, and so forth. So that's in essence who we are, what we're all about, and we're so excited to bring this to the market and to share this with you and your audience.
Wow. Okay, so where do I begin? So I'm sure you've heard a lot of negative things as well, right? So I did some research on you, and I watched your show with Dr. Oz, and I watched you were in Vegas, and I just did some research and watched some of your clips. The one thing that I was concerned about, but after watching this, I felt so much better. Violence.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
So one of the features of our robots
Yeah.
is an ability to shut down if the behavior is not acceptable. I'll give you an example.
Yes.
If let's say, for instance, you have by the way, we have different personalities that the robot comes with. It comes with Wild Wendy. It comes with a standard Roxy personality. It comes with S&M Susan. It comes with, so you name your flavor of enjoyment, if you will. We have a personality out of the box that is probably ready to go, or else we could create one for you before we ship her to you. And so what we ended up doing is building these personalities so that way they would assist people, never, support violence or anything along those lines. As a matter of fact, if you work with one or interact with one of the robots and abuse the robot, and I'm not talking about just saying, be quiet or something. If you're physically abusive to the robot or interacting verbally abusive, the robot will shut down.
Okay.
And that's very important because we do not support violence of any kind and abuse of any kind. So, and we have patents around that technology, which is training. So I'll give you an example. And I'm sure I could talk a bit openly.
This is why we're here today, because guys, listen, this is very important. So we're not passing judgments, okay? What we're doing is trying to understand it. And you're here to talk freely.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll give you one example. Usually the best way to describe this is by a story.
Yes.
So there's a gentleman, everything is under non-disclosure, no
Okay.
names are mentioned,
That's
but
right.
there's a gentleman who has cerebral palsy. And he not only has trouble with, he lost his girlfriend, so from a social perspective, he was lonely. He wanted to have someone to be there to spend his life with. And of course, we prefer that he had a partner. But if in light of him not having a partner, having Roxy with him allows him to interact, stay engaged, because in this country, we're very effective at keeping people alive longer, but the quality of life goes down.
Amen
and
to
down.
that.
And that's not what I feel is very important. What's very important is the balance between quantity and quality. And so our robots are meant to be there to assist the user to not only, and I'll share this, it's a bit tittillating, and I'm sure that your
It's
audience
okay.
is okay for me to.
We have an adult audience.
I'll keep it G-rated, but
Yeah.
basically, what Roxy allows you to do is to live the life that you want to. An example is this gentleman with cerebral palsy, he's heterosexual, so the robot interacts with him in that fashion. But if you, another example, someone that maybe has challenges with interacting somewhere in the spectrum of autism, many patients or many people that have autism interact with robots much better than they do with humans. And there's many studies around that, why that is, and so forth. But it effectively comes down to working with a robot or interacting with a robot is very predictable. So people with, whether it's anywhere within the spectrum, they're able to have that dialogue with a human. And I don't know how much interaction you've had with people with autism, but it's so sad to see them. They're closeted, they're kept to themselves, and they're so whatever we could do to help those people to have a hand to hold, that's beautiful.
I want to touch base on that. So is the ultimate goal, though, because what you're saying sounds amazing, if the ultimate goal is to teach that child or that person with autism to be able to now communicate with real people.
Yes.
Is that the goal?
And that is one of the major goals is
Okay.
training,
Okay.
teaching, assisting people to basically give them, think of it as a bridge to, I'll tell you something very beautiful with a robot is the mechanism in the mouth and the face. She moves her face just like a person. Up, her eyes move left, right, up, down, so forth. And so you can also kiss her and interact with her, and you could learn from that experience. So I don't know about you or your audience, but I had no idea how to, interact with someone. It was kind of interesting to get user, and that's what we do. We ask people what they want in the system, in the robot, and then we provide that. An example of that was kissing, helping people to kiss and interact, and how fast to interact in a physical fashion, and that whole unspoken, unwritten down approach is really something that must be learned over time, and it takes people very, very long to learn how to, engage in a physical fashion, and we help people with that.
We're going to take 1 second. Ruben, or Gino, can you please just turn that one fan on for him? We need that fan on for you.
I'm okay.
Just that one. This was the one with the noise. Let's just turn that one back on for him. So, I'm sure you've been hit with many questions. I'm sure, pedophilia has come up. I'm sure, right? You've been hit with so many questions. Could we talk a little bit about the concerns?
Sure. So as far as age and so forth, so
Yes.
we obviously comply with whatever whatever, if you're in the U.S., whatever the state, the local city, state, federal. So our robots never replicate a human that's under 18.
Okay.
So we have there's a robot personality called Young Yoko. Young Yoko is 18 years old and is very spry and curious and inquisitive, and so if you're looking to learn and to work with a robot that is more open to ideas, then that's cool. Then Young Yoko is who you would use. We also have another, on the other side of the fence, we have Mature Martha. Mature Martha is more matronly. She loves to talk. She loves the interaction, more verbal than physical. And so an example would be on a Sunday afternoon, if you're sitting down and you just want to relax and maybe have a cup of coffee or tea and just relax. Well, maybe you want to talk to Mature Martha. And by the way you change with a robot from one personality to the other is what we call the system command. It's a special command where you say, Roxy, use, and then you say her name. So if it's Wendy or Young Yoko, you would say, Wendy, use Young Yoko. And your robot would go from, let's say, from Wild Wendy to Young Yoko. It would change personalities. So it's kind of cool. You could have multiple versions of the robot's personality all within the same platform.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was thinking you had different robots so it's one robot.
Yes.
What is the cost of a robot?
So the cost is $9,995 US. I have an announcement to make.
Okay.
And this is something which we're coming out with, and so I'm happy to share it with you and your guests and your audience. And so we have there's now a program that we're running called it's called the Inner Circle. And if you want to win a free date or interact with a robot for free, you can do that. And what we're doing is we're driving around the country, and eventually we'll go to Australia and so forth. And what we're doing is in major metropolitan cities, we're having like a small convention, but it's one-on-one. We have it where you basically visit us and see the robot, interact with the robot, and you could win a free date, and that's part of the program. You could also try before you buy. You could interact, if you will, with a robot and talk to her and give us your feedback. And so we're basically dotting the country doing that.
So a lot of my female viewers would like to know, do you have any male robots?
So we have Rocky. Rocky is the male version of the sex robot, and it's actually a different version of the system.
Talk a little more.
It's a different version of the system. It's it doesn't use the same personality as Roxy. So it's we're working through that right now. And so if you send an email, or if your audience would like to send an email to info@truecompanion.com, we'll keep you in the loop when we're ready to release Rocky. We also would like to, if you're interested in receiving a free date or getting involved in that.
I want a date.
Hey, there you go. Come over to my house or to the office. So with our robots there. But basically, just send an email to info@truecompanion.com, and what we'll do is we'll keep you posted as we travel around the country, and we can go from there.
So if somebody wanted a special robot made, all right, do we send photos to you and say we would like it to look like this person?
Yeah. So there's three tiers of systems. So a custom system. So yes, we do custom systems, and we could create a likeness of yourself or your wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend, or, whatever you want. The only gotcha here, the only catch
Here it goes.
is that we would need approval of that person. So an example is if we wanted to create an Elvis
Right.
robot or a
Elvis.
you-
Let's talk about it.
you
That's
name-
what I want.
I knew. So, well, here's what we could do. What we
Okay.
could do is create a similar
Okay.
likeness, but not an exact
Okay, I get
likeness.
it.
Because unless you want to call
Right.
up, what's Elvis's?
Listen, Priscilla.
Priscilla, yes. I don't know how Priscilla,
I know.
how open she'd be to that. But,
So there's possibilities here.
yes. Yes, and so, but it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It could be yourself. It could be your wife. It could be someone,
Oh.
that,
Right.
So,
Wow.
and again, the location or the mechanism to ask us about all this is through info@truecompanion.com, but it is more expensive.
Okay.
So it's to be determined. Sometimes it's not only the face; it's the body. They want certain pieces, something added here, something taken away here, but we're open to that. So we're able to do that. But it's basically on an as needed or on a one-off, or each person is separate, right?
So, all right. So now let's talk about. I've been asked some questions that people did want me to ask you, and there's a few of them that I do want to ask you. So, have you had any fears with some of these robots? Like you're gonna have one go on a date, okay?
Right.
Well, do you know the person that the robot's going to go on the date with? Like, are you going to do background checks with the person? Like, do you
yeah.
have any concerns with all that as well?
Oh, okay. So the answer is no. No, there's no background.
Okay.
This is it's a product, just like a car or
Okay.
a stereo or an iPad
Okay.
or whatever. So we're not worried about that. What we are worried about
Okay.
is, we touched on it earlier, is abuse of the
Yes.
robot. Because basically how do I say this delicately? The parts that you interact with that might need to be run under the faucet or in the whatever to be cleaned, those could be taken out and replaced pretty much as parts
Okay.
that, but if the skin or the arm, or if someone, bends or breaks or, that's a concern.
Yes.
So yes, we need to. So part of this is education of basically, and I don't mean a lot of education. I mean just basically ramping people up of how to care for her, how to wash her down with a wet damp cloth, and so forth. So you don't put her in the bathtub. She's electronic. So you need to basically walk through a list of questions and make sure that everybody knows. But basically, it's just like having like a stereo or a radio. You would treat it with respect, and you wouldn't drop a radio on the ground, right? So, nor would you drop Roxy on the ground.
Okay, so, I just want to talk to my listeners out there and my viewers. I'm sure there's a reason why we're not taking phone calls, and I apologize for that. But I'm sure there's a lot of questions you guys have. Gino, if you see any questions that you think are interesting, that people are typing a lot, you can ask for them. All right. We'll start there with that. But what I want to say to you guys is this: we don't live in a perfect world. Unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world, and there is abuse out there, and there's so much, that I feel as a nutritional health coach, I feel that sometimes a person can't be helped. And there are a lot of challenges out there. And, when I first heard about this, a lot went through my mind like, whoa, wow, how did we get here? What happened? Why are we here? Okay. And I started thinking about things, and I started really processing what you do.
Right.
If we could take this concept and use it for good, nothing but for good, it could be unbelievable. It could be, right? It could help so many people.
I'll give you
Yes.
one example.
Yes.
And basically, it's almost like, have you ever heard the story of a stone soup? Stone soup.
Yes, go ahead,
Okay,
tell it.
I'll for,
Yes.
for your audience who haven't heard it, I'll make it
Yes.
quick. Basically, what you do is you take a stone and you put it in some boiling water, and then you taste the water. Yeah, add a little salt, add a little pepper, add a little carrots, and so forth. Well, when you're done, you end up with this beautiful soup where you started with a stone and some water, and that's effectively what we've done. We've created what's called a proof of concept, minimally viable product that we brought to market, that we offered for feedback, and we've gathered a lot of feedback, and we're still gathering feedback. But yes, it's important that people have the best intentions in mind, and but that's what we're all about. We're all about empowering people to live the life that they want to, and helping them achieve that, and it's very exciting.
So there are other concerns also. Okay, so what happens if, say, in 10 years from now, right, this is really taken off and these robots are everywhere? Do you see this happening? Tell me your thoughts, because I'm sure you absolutely have thought all this through a lot better than I could have, okay, in 3 weeks. Do you see people that are not so mentally well, so some mentally challenged people, using it as a way to maybe, how can I say this? Because I want to watch my words here, guys. I want to watch my words here. To practice
Yeah.
before they go out there.
Well,
Do
okay.
you see that ever happening?
Okay. What I see happening?
Okay.
What I see happening is robots will be surrogates. Robots will be there to help us to, whether it's to, from a companion robot that will, eventually do the dishes and so forth.
Right.
But in the near term, what robotics and artificial intelligence provides to us is the empowering to be the best person we can.
Okay.
In other words, the AI could be applied to different areas. An example would be, what if a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, we all get on planes, trains, automobiles, whatever. What if we had an autopilot within our car that would be able to adjust the trip as it's going? Whereas if I make a mistake, I'm on gravel and I start slipping, what if the car could re-engage, straighten the wheel out and so forth?
Beautiful.
We already have this.
Yep.
And that's artificial intelligence. That's basically a building block, or looking at the systems that you have now, taking constraints, looking at how to make the best. Another example is trains and so forth, planes. Well, embedding this artificial intelligence into everything from cars to microwaves to stereos, that's the future, including air conditioning and lights. In other words, there's so much opportunity to save money and cost by just reducing, power. I have a silly question for you. We turn on the air conditioning or heat, and we're heating the house or apartment, and we think that that's great. We're making it nice and warm. But the reality is, all we need the heat is to be right around us. We don't need the whole apartment or the whole house heated. Well, eventually, artificial intelligence will predict where we go. We never go in the basement. We never go in the attic. We never go in that other bedroom. So let's not heat those. And so it sounds a bit off topic, but robotics and artificial intelligence is basically this is the entree into these other areas of applying that technology to improve the quality of life, lower costs, reduce our bills, and keep us healthier. And that's really exciting.
Do you ever see it getting to the point where people will no longer need real interaction with people? They would prefer robots?
No, that will
Okay.
never happen. And
Okay.
it's for one reason.
Okay.
There's a concept called the Black Swan concept, or Black Swan theory. The Black Swan theory is that that the one-off, the exception, the outliers, the aberrant behavior that we consider to be abnormal or unusual, I'm kind of trying to find the words to
Okay,
describe.
okay.
But basically, the robots only can make informed decisions based upon previous experience. And so,
Okay.
what's a good example? And a good example is if I'm flying my airplane, I'm flying, or with my robot. I'm having a meal. The robot's with me. I'm dining. But if the robot wants to, the robot only knows what we've programmed
Okay.
into it.
Okay.
Whereas people are unpredictable
Okay.
to some extent. So
Yes.
what happens is, the person is always able to bring another element, another viewpoint to the table, whereas a robot or a system is always restricted to only consider certain inputs. You wouldn't think about, if I said, what's a good example? If I said to you, the water, what's the boiling point of water? You would say, 100 Celsius is the boiling point of water. But that's not necessarily true. The boiling point of water is a function of the temperature, the pressure. So if you increase pressure, the temperature for the boiling point goes up. But so if it's predictable, if you could base the intelligence of the robot on empirical information, you're able to have predictable results. Another very clear example, which I'm under non-disclosure, so I can't go into detail, but the U.S. government, the Department of Navy is working with us where we met with them, the research division, on various things. And so one of the questions that comes up in general, and I'll leave it at that, is should we have robots or artificial intelligence making decisions for us, i.e. war or engaging an enemy, or those kind of heavy questions should never, in my opinion, should never be delegated to the decision of a robot, because the robot does not have the life experience that you and I do, which we take for granted. We know a lot of stuff, and so a robot does not know a lot of stuff. A robot knows zeros and ones, whereas you and I know about, black and white and gray and every shade in between. And so it's basically very, robots are very good at doing menial tasks over and over again, which doesn't require a lot of insight or so forth.
So when you program your robots, how many people on what's the staff? Like, you're not just going to have one person saying,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to put the input in here. How many people?
I'll tell you, it's very exciting, guys, because basically the people that we're dealing with, the software developers, okay? My wife calls me a double nerd. So,
I love that.
so I'm a computer guy, electrical engineer guy, so I'm a super nerd, okay, if you want to call me a super nerd. So, basically, the takeaway of this whole experience is that people, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, the takeaway of this is that.
Yep, you have to just, if you want, here, there you go. Oh, that's okay. So this is the thing. So how many people do you have?
Oh, the software developers.
Yes.
So we have folks in the U.S. and India.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, great. So the folks in India are basically, we don't talk about them as sex robots because they're very conservative.
Okay.
And so we use other words like S. They're S-type, meaning, they're sexual or what have you. So it's a very interesting group of people. We have artists, we have sculptors, we have machinists.
That's beautiful, because I'm an artist, and that's where I'm
cool.
going with this.
And that's what we're doing. We're creating a piece of art. I mean,
Yes.
and funny story. I think your audience will like this. We were sculpting. By the way, our robots are based upon college students. Basically hired. And come in and we mold them, we sculpt them, and use their bodies, and then very funny story. I said, could we please improve upon this one body? And he said, she's beautiful. Well, it was someone's girlfriend. And so he said, I'm sorry to be saying this about your girlfriend, but, can we nip and tuck here, And so that's very exciting to kind of build a beautiful machine that is not very heavy, that does, the battery lasts, that the cost is as low as possible. All of these, constraints come into play.
So I love that you touch base on, you have different characters and different personalities, because I would not like a robot that was completely left-brained. Okay? So I need the fun robot. I need the artistic robot, that kind of thing. So let's talk about what you were saying about giving them, like with wars, should they say, let's go to
Right.
war, let's do this, let's do that. If you had 100 personalities
Right.
that said, let's get together
Right.
and let's put so many different life things that, life experiences that we've had.
Right.
Is that possible? Is it possible to get a robot, not now, not today, I'm talking about in the future, right?
Right.
Because look at where we've come already. Look
Right.
at what you've done so far.
Right.
Do you see it ever happening where it could be in 50 years from now, 100 years from now? I have no idea. Do you see it ever happening where that robot is the ultimate with intelligence and can touch base for everything?
Okay. There will be no ultimate, period.
Okay, there will be no
there will
ultimate.
always be specific to your requirements.
Okay.
It's like a car.
Okay.
Yeah, there's cars with 4 wheels, cars with the manual, cars automatic. So it's the same with robots. So, we don't see that yet because we're the only company. We have, this
Okay.
robotic there's not many companies out there in the space, so it's kind of evolving.
Okay.
And that's very exciting. But yes, it's not.
It's never going to be the ultimate.
No.
Okay.
No. It because for me, there's certain things that are very important, whereas for you, maybe there's other things that are important.
Okay.
So these, I'll call them assistants or robots or companions, they'll be there to not only hold our hand and make us feel better when we lost a match, in sports, or when we had a hard day at work, we can cuddle up and just, spoon and just relax and just feel and hold each other. That's what it's all about. It's about the unconditional love and support.
Wow, okay. So, I'm going to read, I want to see, people have been binging me, okay? So, okay. So, I want to ask you a couple questions. So, Angela Sir says from Australia, hey, Sweet Pea. She says that, where is it at? Okay. Companionship and connections are so important. So are daily hugs and kisses.
Yes.
Wow, this is so interesting and important. All right, so here's the thing about that. So let's talk about the hugging and the kissing again.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, one of the things that I've learned through this is that the best place for us to gather information is not by a bunch of engineers sitting around and talking about it.
Okay.
It's by meeting with people. And that's why we created this program called Inner Circle. And it's just that. It's a circle inside of a circle. It's our inner circle. It's our group. By the way, I'll sign you up if you want. So
I would love that.
Okay, cool. So you basically sign up, is basically a non-disclosure where we tell you all the goodies, all the things coming up, and
So cool.
and you get to play with all these toys and purchase at a discount if you like. You don't have to, but that's your choice.
Awesome.
So that's really where the growth happens, because it's not about me, it's not about you. It's about everybody else out there and what they need and want, not what I want. And so that's been very, very, not uplifting, but very insightful, because I'm able to kind of get the understanding of where we need to be, closer and closer. And by the way, it does kind of converge where people all want the same thing, but they want it in a different way. So there might be a perfect, they want love. people want connection. It comes back to feeling engaged, because so many times people aren't engaged. So we're able to not only help them there, but also from an educational point of view. One of the patents that we filed for, which is around having the robot help us learn, whether it's physical interaction, or it's learning how to say mathematics or whatever it may be. That's pretty cool. Just imagine that. Just imagine if you had a robot that was with you that would be able to answer any question, virtually any question you have, help you. I mean, this is our goal. This is what we want to shoot for,
Right.
to create a virtual assistant that's there, that's always engaging you, that can interact in any fashion you like, but is there to basically provide any answers. And if it doesn't know the answer, it'll go out and find it, which is exciting.
So I have something that I want to share out there, because when I started advertising that you were going to be on the show, people were asking me if they could sit in, and I said, no, thank you. I said, we were going to keep this as professional as could be. It was going to be you and me. They also asked if they could call in, and again, I said it would be best. I want to share something with you guys. I'm going to be honest with you, Douglas. When I first heard about this, I was taken back, and I was nervous. And I thought, what's happened to us, that we need a robot? I got a little nervous, I got to tell you. But I started thinking about my life, and I started thinking about life in general. If we really think about things, this is no different, and it has evolved. What do we give little kids? Dolls. They need them to hug. They go to sleep. It's a companion for them, right? Pets. We love pets. They're our companions. As children, they want to sleep with their puppy. They want to sleep with their kitten. Okay? And now I'm going to take it a step further. This is for an adult audience. There's also sex blow-up dolls. That's been around forever. Okay? We shouldn't look at this now. The more that I've learned about it, and the more that I understand, and the more I've been thinking about life in general, and, it's taken me back. We shouldn't look at this as any different than that. We should look at this as this could possibly solve a lot of solutions, that a lot of things that are going on, that we can help people. We should look at this as if it's all used for the right things and the right purposes, right? It could help people.
Yes. One other thing that I've learned over
Yes.
the time is that many times when women would come up to me and say, this is sexist, misogynistic, so forth, and the reality is we're trying. We realize how beautiful women are and how empowering it is, and how they're the life force in every relationship, including mine. My mother was a very powerful person in my life, and I'm sure that your audience would agree that we literally owe our lives to women, and so it's a compliment. That's why we came out with Roxy first over Rocky.
Yes.
So that's that's.
But what I was saying was really about companionship. That's what we need from the day we're born.
Right.
So we're taught early on to have companionship.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. We're taught
Right.
all early on. So as we get older,
Right.
unfortunately, some of us get shy. Some of us can't really have that. Right. So,
Right.
and this can help everyone.
Yes.
Right. So
and-
that's the goal.
And by the way, let's just talk openly. Many people have something in their nightstand right now that's been in, people have that they reference, they use every so often, right? Women have that thing that they take out of their top drawer. So the reality is electronics and
That's right.
interaction.
But that's my point.
And
Exactly.
mechanical assistance is
Right.
something that's not, and by the way, there's nothing, sex and love is beautiful. It's just the coupling of, it's meant to be a beautiful thing. It's when people maybe treat it incorrectly, or, twist, or, kind of change what the intent is. But the coupling of two people is a beautiful thing.
So let's talk about how you program. I am so curious about this.
When you say programming,
Okay.
you mean?
So, okay, so you have your robot,
Right.
and then you're gonna put data into its mind,
It's.
into its
I'm gonna blow your mind.
blow my mind.
Roxy does not have one mind. She has 5 minds.
So tell us.
Well, I can't tell you everything,
No.
but I'll tell you the here's the situation.
Okay.
Every situation has a certain context where, like, if you and I are playing chess right now, it would be very important to be very analytical and mathematical and analyzing and projecting moves and so forth. That's one area of a brain.
And I'm a chess player,
Oh,
as
cool.
a matter of fact.
Okay, cool.
She could kick my butt, maybe?
So that's one set of skills, and so every application, whether it's photography or painting and so forth, requires all these different skills. And so the robot out of the box might not know how to play chess, but she can learn through something called machine learning.
Okay.
So over time, whether it's mathematics, chess, or something like photography or art, that's more, future vision kind of thing.
Okay.
Whereas, short term, conversational, understanding what the intent is of what you're saying. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If I say, "Oh my goodness," that could mean either a very good thing or a very bad thing.
Okay.
And so it's all tied to what I'm doing, what I'm experiencing. So if I walk out to my car and it has a flat, I say, "Oh my goodness." But if I walk in on a surprise birthday party for myself, I'll say, "Oh my goodness."
You can tell me that she can tell the difference between what the "oh my goodness" means.
That's where I'm going.
working on that.
That's where we're going.
That's pretty cool.
And that's very cool because the context is very important. Not only the word choice, the inflection, the cadence, your physical, the expression you're providing to me now tells me how you feel. 80% of communication is nonverbal.
That's right. Absolutely.
So what's the most important is the touch, the feel, to know who the person is, where they're coming from, what their motivations are. All of that is very, very hard, like you said, to program. But so we have these different, I'll call them brains. We have these 5 brains, and each one does something differently. One is very good at mathematics. One is very good at, I'll oversimplify it, but one is very good at artistry, painting, or what have you, creativity. Another one is good at, say, social sciences, and so forth. So these various brains provide the collective knowledge of what the robot's able to do. And so it learns. So I'll give you an example. If you like pizza, my wife had a pizza yesterday, and I'm trying to watch what I'm eating. And that pizza looks so good.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, if I could make a healthy pizza,
I'm a vegan chef. I can make you one.
cool. Well, we're going to talk about that after the
Okay.
show. So, but that's something I would love to be able to do, is to make a vegan pizza that's so tasty. So that way I could. So that's just one example. But basically, every day we have these. I'll give you another. Every time we Google something, Google 1 liter is how many quarts, or whatever the question is. Google what is the temperature in the capital? I don't know. Whatever the questions are, those kind of questions are very factual, and there's a brain that relates to that. And so that's what we've done. So we don't create one robot for one person. We create one robot with multiple brains that can adapt to who you are and what your needs are. And by the way, if you just want to sit down with Roxy and cuddle and hold her hand and have her hug you, that's cool. But if you want to talk to her about a movie that you saw, or playing snookers, or whatever it may be, if you're whatever your interests are, that's cool, because she'll learn more and more about it.
So I have a question for you. So, say I got Roxy.
Yes.
All right. Well, my Elvis. Say I got my Elvis.
Well, let's call him
Elvin.
Elvin. There you go, Elvin.
I got my Elvin. Listen, say he was with me for 6 months.
Right.
At that point, would he really get to know me enough to know if I looked a certain way, what it meant, or
It doesn't take 6 months.
for real?
It does not.
Really?
If you look at your vocabulary, your word choice, your interests, I don't want to oversimplify it, but we're all pretty much pigeonholed into certain behaviors.
You're right about that.
And so it's not right or wrong. It's the way
That's
people
right.
are. And so, no, I enjoy maybe 5 things a lot. And I enjoy maybe 10 or 20 things a little bit. I'm not a complicated person. Probably everyone else is the same way. We enjoy certain sports teams, certain types of movies, genres, and the robot's able to learn that and to give you, say, hey, your director, is coming out with a new movie, which is, going to come out next year, blah, blah, blah. So the robot can learn. It can learn from the internet and provide information too.
So if I took my robot to a party,
Yeah.
okay, this is so crazy, guys. If I took my robot to a party and
Yes.
there's a group of us talking,
Yes.
somebody gets a little loud just because we're having fun,
Right.
would the robot try to protect me
That's
or tell them to be quiet?
it all, again, it comes down to the context. It comes
Okay.
down to and the past experiences. So if the robot understood that I don't know, that you did not like that loud sounds
Okay.
or noise,
Okay.
yes, the robot would take on that role.
Okay.
But that's something that it would learn over time.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's what I'm hearing from you, and this is what I would love to see happen. Nursing homes.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. Nursing homes. Okay. So everyone who knows me knows my dad had Alzheimer's for the last 10 years of his life, and that was heartbreaking. We kept him home, but a lot of people don't have that luxury. Okay. So nursing homes are very sad, and these people are very lonely.
Yes.
So I would love to see something happen with the robots going into these nursing homes.
I'm going to share something with you that I don't talk a lot about.
Okay.
My father passed away.
Sorry to hear that. My dad
It's-
as well, yes.
Yeah, and he was an active man. He exercised and so forth, but he just his body couldn't, he
Okay.
just failed. So one of the things that drove me into robotics was the idea of having a robot there because I could not be there because I was chasing money, I was chasing a career, I was chasing the wrong things in life,
Okay.
and not worried about my father. And that's shame on me. But
Wow.
if I had a robot that would be there to keep him company, to read him a book. I'll give you an example. I try to do these kind of things to help my dad along, to give him comfort. Like I gave him this easy to use computer
Okay.
so he could look up antique cars.
Okay.
But it only went so far
It only
because
went so far.
if I had a robot that basically, and by the way, people ask, why did you choose a human as the form for the robot? Because you don't need to have a robot that looks like
No,
a
we need-
person.
Okay, yes.
Why do we do that? Why did we create a robot?
I even feel that we needed that.
Okay, cool. Because many people don't think that that's required. You could talk to, but the reason why it's important to have a robot that looks like a person is because we best learn by mirroring, by looking and seeing, and the inflection, as I mentioned before, the subtleties, the slight movements, I'll call them tics, or the behaviors that people have. If you summarize them together, they approach what that person is, and so that's very important to us.
So could you imagine if we can get it to a point where all nursing homes in the future have these robots to interact with these people? How beautiful that would be for these people?
Yeah.
Alzheimer patients, how about that? Because, some people get short with people, even with Alzheimer's. It's not okay. But some people don't have the patience. But robots would.
That's right.
So they could sit there with them for hours. I thought that was off. I'm sorry. They could sit there for hours and hours and talk to these robots. How beautiful would that be?
Yeah, and there's been studies in nursing homes, elder care facilities where they bring in pets, which
That's
sounds
right.
totally unrelated, but
No, it is related. Like
it
I
is
said
related.
before, we cuddled
Yes.
with our pets, even as
That's
children.
right.
We need to cuddle.
That's right.
Okay, we cuddled with our dolls. We cuddled with our pets. We were taught for we weren't even taught. We knew we needed to cuddle. We
Yeah.
knew we needed interaction.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely.
That's right, and that's a market that we're going after is nursing, healthcare, elder care,
Yes.
as well as retail and commercial and consumer.
You know, now it's making me want to start some sort of a nonprofit, like in different communities. To do this for people in nursing homes, elder care, all that beautiful stuff.
And by the way, we're setting up a pilot program. So if any of your guests, whether they're overseas or in the U.S., that want to be involved from the healthcare perspective, we're happy to assist and be involved. And hopefully we can, find a middle ground where we can work together collaboratively. So if your audience emails me at info@truecompanion.com, whether it's for themselves personally or for a nursing home or someone that they love or care for that's maybe in an elder care facility or someone that's at home, we'd love to talk to you and have you share with us what your thoughts and requirements are, and we could see if we could help you.
I'm really glad that I got to meet you and to sit here and talk to you personally about all this, because you've made me feel so much better about some of my reservations.
Listen, I'm a middle-aged guy from Bell Labs, very, I'll call it very, I'm boring kind of guy, but I realize this opportunity that we have right now to create this platform to help people, and it's so exciting. It's so empowering to be able to say, let me give you a robot that would assist you and help your patients. Let's say, for instance, if the robot were to go from patient to patient to talk to them, to check in with them, and also provide comfort and interaction. And let's take it one step further.
Okay.
We're not doing this element, but let's say, for instance, making sure the proper medications are taken, looking for contraindicated, something that might be an issue as far as a medicine that interacts improperly, or maybe a procedure that's being done in the hospital. So there's so many areas. It's so exciting, and it's value added. There's an ROI. So if the audience is a board of a hospital or of a nursing home, you could there's ROIs that we could go to say, here's the quality of life issues. We can make sure that patients are being turned. That's another thing that's so fundamental as turning. Did you know that there's a requirement to rotate patients that are in nursing homes and healthcare facilities?
Of course.
Okay, so,
Of course.
and that's not happening.
It's absolutely not happening.
It's not happening. And what's happening is people are getting bed sores that are becoming infected. And so if we as simply as just stopped that,
That's right.
that would be so helpful to help improve the quality of life.
That's right.
For patients. And so that's one of many. And as you can imagine, there's many areas. And so I'm just kind of, tossing a few out there.
Okay. So I want to ask you another couple of questions, okay? And we're going to touch base on this only for a few minutes because someone asked me to, and I would like to, because people have so many questions out here, okay? And I just want to respect them. Machine learning, talking about some 5 brains. Wow. Okay. So people are listening. So, okay, the term, and I just learned this. Term. Okay, digisexuals. 5 minutes. Let's touch base on that.
So what is a digisexual? It's a term that's meant to use someone who's digital, i.e., involved in technology and the, internet, i.e., everything that goes along with it. A typical example might be someone in the context of sexual. It means obviously, that level of it, but digisexual or a person that has that, proclivity is someone who embraces technology and utilizes its capabilities to meet their needs.
Okay,
And
beautiful.
in the terms of sexual needs, a digisexual person is one that is open to exploring how technology can meet the unmet physical, social, sexual needs of a that they have, and that's part of our target audience. Whether it's a middle-aged person that is maybe tired of the bar scene and doesn't want to kind of, drink beers all night and look for people that are maybe not the right people anyway. So that's what we're all about. We're all about empowering people through the use of technology to help them meet their needs.
So let's talk about maybe like ADD, ADHD. I think
Right.
they could help those people as well.
Yes.
Okay, so I remember I worked in a school system, and I remember thinking, everybody needs someone that they can relate to, because sometimes they feel excluded, and that's really sad. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. As a matter of fact, there's people that base what their job is to make sure these children, these students that are maybe at one end of the spectrum, maybe asocial, that they have a right now. How are these students not maintained is not the right word. How are they cared for in a school system? Right now, there's a lot of times there's a student, an assistant student teacher that basically watches and cares for the children, and what that typically means is they get bit, they bump their heads, and
That's right.
it's a very unforgiving, very thankless but very important job. And there's so many ways that we can improve the quality of the
Yes.
services being delivered to
That's
those
right.
students, where it's cost effective and meets the needs of the student. That's one thing we have to remember. The younger generation is tuned into what we're doing. They get this.
They do.
People that don't get this are
They
the
do.
people that are anti-indigenous sexuals. They're people that maybe this is maybe a new idea. It's something that, and by the way, the concept of a sex robot or a sex automaton is nothing new. It's hundreds and hundreds of years old. From basically interacting with a statue, if you will, or something that's created. So the idea of having a robot that would complement what your needs are or an external device is nothing new.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because that's going to make people really get this, because you're right in what you just said about statues and all that. So,
Right.
you're in your 50s, I'm in my 50s. So our generation is here. So my grandson is 17, and he gets it.
Okay, yeah.
Completely gets it.
Yes.
Okay? So my daughter's like on the fence, with all
Right.
the technology, but he
Right.
gets it. It's
Right.
their language.
Right.
It's their language.
That's right.
So what you just said about statues. So I grew up Catholic at the time in an Italian home. Grandparents had statues everywhere. So you're right about that. And if people could just think about, really there's no difference if you think about it. It's just technology that's taken over. Right?
Yes,
It's just an advanced statue.
Just imagine if we in underserved communities where education is maybe not on the top of the city council's list of requirements. What if we had a robot that could be Abraham Lincoln, or any figure from history? So that way, Mahatma Gandhi. So you could have have him speak on behalf of protests that are and how to approach protests and civil disobedience, and how you can affect change and not be a subject of a pawn in the system, if you will. So that's what a robot could do, and it's so exciting. And by the way, it's just not like turning on a TV of a show of Mahatma Gandhi talking. The robot can meet you wherever you're coming from. In other words, and this is very, very important, in school systems, if we're talking specifically about schools, you have students that are across the bell curve. They're from marginally able to function straight through to exceptional, and everything in between. And so a teacher really has his or her hands full, because she or he has to teach and service or help each of those students. Well, what if we had a robot that can maybe downgrade or slow down or use analogies that are effective in the communication of ideas for that student that maybe is not getting it, is maybe asocial, is maybe not connecting. Wouldn't that be great if we could meet and help that student as much as the people that are in the
That's
middle,
right.
which is who we try to help, and we end up helping no one effectively.
Imagine this, guys. Imagine if you have robots in schools, children that feel socially inept, children that feel shy, children that are being bullied, Think about this, right? So if they can have a friend in this robot, first of all, if I was younger and a robot came into the school, I would run up to that robot, wouldn't you? Before
Yes.
you would run up to just a regular person trying to tell you how to do
Yes.
something.
Yes.
So imagine if we had robots in schools trying to help these children.
That's right.
These children would want to sit there
Right.
and listen to these robots because they would be in awe, first of all, that this robot can do this.
That's right.
It's no different than their digital games.
And what you'll see is all the scores. I mean, this is subject to testing and clinic, rolling this out. But effectively, you'll be raising the scores of all the students
right.
because you'll be providing an optimized teacher for each of those
That's
students. And that is so, and you could apply this not only to students and this is all artificial intelligence. You're not only applying it to students, but what if you're a doctor? And this is being done now by Watson, by IBM. They're scanning x-rays. I happen to know someone who has cancer, and that person had the 3 CT scans done, and they did not find cancer.
Okay.
But it just so happened that there was one other doctor who looked at physical examination and said, wait a second, something's wrong here. Now, wouldn't it be great from a cost savings, from a healthcare cost, from a quality of life, or, for a survival benefit to have the machine tell the doctor the first time that CT scan comes through and says, I see something happening here.
Wow.
I see something that is aberrant that might be something you want to take a look at.
Wow.
And that's happening now. That's ramping up. And what we're doing is, in keeping with the military example I told you about before, we do not want the AI, the artificial intelligence, to make those decisions for the doctor. But what we're doing is we're basically they're recommending systems. They're telling the doctor, check the frontal lobe,
right.
check this lymph node, check this, and and people don't even know this is happening now, but it is. Artificial intelligence is now helping us with the diagnosis of cancer.
So even for drug rehabs, I mean, think about that. That's close to my heart, obviously,
Yes.
right, guys? So imagine us having robots in drug rehabs,
Yes.
okay? As an addict, I'm telling you right now, you would rather listen to a robot and interact with a robot than a real person because addicts have a problem interacting with other people while they're going through their addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they don't want to hear what we have to say. They're listening to us and, half of what we're saying, they're not even, right?
Right.
But imagine us putting a robot there. They'll listen to every word that robot says.
Right.
This could be really amazing. Ruben, would you like to ask any questions? Because I know you're busting over there. And you know the rules.
Yeah, I know. It's just, little innuendos I was humbly choking about when you said about the robots being in a drug rehab place. And I'm just thinking about, robots going in there and saying, I'm high on acid or something like that. The thing.
Well, what if the robot had an addiction?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
That
The robot would have to have had an addiction to relate to the addict.
That's
the
right.
addict.
Very
That's
good.
right.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking
Yes.
about. Yeah.
But by the way, this is something that's happening more and more. We're basically, anthropomorphizing all these robots and applying them, our life lessons to them, which is what I'm talking about from the beginning,
Really?
which is the whole idea of basically learning from these machines, right?
Right.
So it's an exciting time.
Now, Also on the AI thing, speaking of like not only companionship but having compassion.
Right.
You know, like say for instance, if the robot can have that feeling like if someone passed away and you
Yeah.
can talk to the person,
Right.
about having that empathy.
Empathy. That's
Yeah,
the
having
word.
empathy.
Yeah.
Because even dogs have empathy because they know if something's wrong or sick or
Right.
something like that. They
That-
have empathy.
That's a great point, and that's something that we need to have the robot learn, which is very hard. Getting
Right.
back to, I was talking earlier about facial expressions and reading that and so forth, and kind of tying that to the discussion,
Right.
and kind of building a collection, almost like a mosaic of all the data that's coming in, all the
Right.
information coming in,
Coming in.
and bringing it together.
Yeah, because like if say like an older person, they've been married for 40, 50 years and they don't have that companion, but not only the AI would be so autonomous, but they
You're
could
not
be-
talking about me, are you? With the
Will you be
40,
autonomous?
50,
No.
or 40. I'm just joking. I'm not. I've only been married 30 years.
30 years.
31.
I mean, unless you want to get rid of your wife.
So Ruben, my dad's sister, my aunt was married 70. They were together altogether 70 years, 74 years,
74. Yeah.
and he died less than a year ago. So you're right.
Yeah, and also too, to help around the house. They
That
can,
we would love.
they can move forward. Actually,
Yeah.
speaking of this, if you don't mind me adding to what you're saying,
Please.
the Disney's, what is it, Amanda, I think it's called. Their thing. I was going to say Pocahontas, but it's not Pocahontas. Avatar.
Okay. Yeah.
They have a avatar that has 26, I believe, different expressions in the face. It's so fluid.
Sure.
Oh wow.
And it's very fluid, even with the arms, the facial expressions.
Sure.
The facial expressions alone have 26 different mechanisms to give it different fluid motionless.
Right.
So it doesn't like stop and jerk or anything like that.
The most people are familiar with the Hall of Presidents at Disney, where you have
Yes.
John F. Kennedy and
Yes.
Abraham. Yeah. So all these presidents, they have the mechanisms within them also.
Right.
What people don't realize is how heavy these machines are.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. They're also very expensive, and those are two of the largest drivers of what we've had to do is reduce cost and also the weight.
How much does Roxy weigh?
70 pounds.
70?
70. I mean, plus
Okay.
plus
That's
or
not bad.
minus with
Oh, okay,
features and so
okay.
forth. So yes, it's much more reasonable.
Yes.
It's been a very long road for us to kind of build out it's many iterations through where we had to build the skeleton. I mean, we're recreating a life form, if
life
you will.
form, right.
It's a person. So and everything that goes with it.
And I think it would be great too if they have like I said, especially for the seniors, where if they have trouble getting to the medicine cabinet,
Sure.
Have like a live-in assistance, kind of like the Jetsons.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
Right.
And if they need them to run the bath, they can assist them.
And what's really exciting is everything a lot of what we're talking about now is future, right?
Yes.
Right.
But the how to get there from here is there is a way. And that's what's so exciting about the R&D. I mean, I was from Bell, so I enjoy the R&D. I enjoy the development. I enjoy the research
Wow.
and the creation.
Great.
I consider myself an artist as much as an engineer.
Definitely. And I think speaking of that, like the R&D and as an engineer too, it would be nice too, like for instance, how like a commercial where somebody presses the button and says, "Help, I fallen, I can't get up."
Yes.
So if something happens with the robot, because remember, it's still a machine.
Right.
So if something malfunctions on it, somebody like, I don't know, like ADT or something like
Right.
that, the company will be notified. There'll be like a signal sent
Right.
saying this robot's having complications, and someone will go out and repair it or something like that.
Were you looking at my server? How do you know this? I'm
That's
just,
right. I was speaking in well, I know a little bit of this because my family's military.
Ah.
And my father worked in the secretly in the government.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll say it.
Secretly.
thank you
Secretly,
for
yeah.
his service. That's great.
I can't say too much
Right.
on the air, but
Yeah.
So I have a
So I
question
don't-
about with what he just said. So what if a robot is with someone and this person has a heart attack? Could there be anything where the robot could
Sure.
press a button or?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have what's called system commands. System commands are the robot can connect out, can talk, it can see, it can hear, and so if you have a situation where you need assistance or
Yes.
what have you, there's system commands that allow you to communicate by whether it's an example would be like sending a text message or email, 911 service,
Right.
so forth.
Really?
And that's future vision
Yes.
of where we you know,
Yes.
but that's I was
I've
joking
looked-
with you about
yeah.
our servers, but
Oh, I know. I agree.
that's the there's
That's
a
the
lot of opportunity
opportunities.
in this space.
I mean,
Amazing.
even to the point as you saw like in the military, which they said that they're developing, where they can make these mechanism troops. That's why I think they're trying to make them affordable and cheap. So it's better if they send these guys out to war.
Yeah.
Versus,
That I agree with 100%. I
Yeah.
mean,
Versus
I get
people.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to send the criminals and the robots out.
Well,
there,
I
but
would do that as well.
Well, we have a patent. We have a patent filed around technology that would assist robots in combat to basically flip from being basically a weaponized robot to a caregiver. And let me explain. And I'll keep it general.
It's okay.
Basically, in a as you were describing in a battlefield, it's basically there's so many unknowns, right? So you fall back on training, and so
Okay.
what the robots can do and are doing. In general, is to engage the enemy where
Right.
where the rubber hits the road. Where so they're impacted, as you just said.
Right.
But there are non-enemy individuals that might
Right.
get hit or injured and so forth. So I have a question. What if a robot stumbles upon a child that's injured in a battlefield?
In the battlefield.
Oh.
That's where the empathy and the compassion part
Right.
that comes in.
And what we've done is we have filed patent around the technology that would basically invoke. And I won't go into the detail because it's beyond. I don't think
Right.
anyone wants to hear all the detail.
Right.
But basically, we flip a switch that allows that weaponized robot to take the role of a medic.
Right.
To take the
the
sensors,
socket.
take the sensors it has, the
But-
cameras it has, and repurpose it to the situation that it's
amazing.
in.
And also too, speaking like in the military, another way which it can work is just like, well, I don't want to say so much like the Terminator because the thing that was programmed just to go and kill, but on not only the reason have common sense reasoning,
Right.
but regular people can't even do that.
Right. No,
maybe
it's-
the robot can because it's programmed to.
Well,
And-
what it could do is ignore extraneous inputs that
No, I
people
love that.
Yeah.
anticipate.
Anticipate.
I'm sorry for
Yes.
cutting you
Oh, no,
off,
it's okay. Go,
but
go.
it's
Yes.
actually a very important point.
Yes.
People are emotional,
Yeah.
and people make decisions based on emotion as well as in rational
Yes.
thought, logic.
Rational thought.
But the combination of those two are
Yes.
are usually empowering, but sometimes they're disabling. An example would be when the stock market goes down.
Down.
Everybody wants to sell.
Right.
Sell.
They panic.
Terrible. That
Right.
you should be buying when it's going down, not
Right.
selling. But it's so counterintuitive. People rely on emotion to make decisions, which
Right.
is wrong. And so there's an example,
Mm-hmm.
again, for artificial intelligence to keep people on the proper path. I
Exactly.
mean, there could be a black swan, an aberrant, one-time outlier that creates, like we did in '87, that no one predicted because of the mortgages
Markets, right,
in the
right.
U.S. So, but assuming that doesn't happen, sure, we can have robots help us in the battlefield,
Yeah.
in the marketplace, at home, in healthcare, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
You
'Cause-
can teach your robot to make vegan pizza.
Yeah, that's right. And-
Well,
I just wanted to add like one thing too on that part was that on the battlefield, that the robots should be programmed just like the police departments. Do not fire anything unless fired upon.
Right.
So that way it doesn't mistake, like you said, a child or an innocent person as an enemy. But
Yeah.
if it's fired upon, then you
Yeah.
are the enemy.
Wow, it's amazing. So, we're coming to the close of the show. Before I end it, what I would really like is for you, Douglas, to look into that camera. And I would like you to tell the audience what your vision is with where you're going with this amazing project.
So I am. Let me first say thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you,
amazing.
to sit with you and your team, and great organization. And thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you for the audience to be able to share with them. And these ideas are so exciting. And again, if your audience has any questions, you can email me at info@truecompanion.com. We could also, if you send in about win a free day for Roxy, we can go ahead and get you subscribed to that. Or if you just want information, let us know. Where I see this technology going
Yes.
is basically, future vision and maybe the next 20, 30 years. The next 20, 30 years, a lot of what we're talking about from a quality of life perspective in a home setting, that's very, very realistic to kind of roll out en masse. It will, help lower healthcare costs, help improve quality of life. If I don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend, or I'm in between relationships, I can use the robot to supplement my interactions. And so that's what I see in the next 20, 30 years, having robots to be the surrogate, to be, basically the help out with things. And it will slowly gain more and more momentum. What I see happening, and no one's really talking about this, what I see happening is the centralization of decision making, which sounds kind of Orwellian. But basically, there's going to be your robot is going to help you monitor your AC, your heat, the temperature of your bed. Whatever types of interactions you want to have with that robot. That's what I see happening. It's basically going to become part of your existence. And one of the things that we should keep in mind is that we want to use this, and you brought this up earlier, we want to use robots to empower us, not to weaken us,
To empower.
and to be a step to the future. We don't want it to be the future, we want it to help us to be a step to get to the future where we can move forward and improve the quality, quantity of our lives. That's what it's all about. And beyond 30 years, all bets are off. I mean, it's very, very hard to extrapolate anything because I'm involved in this. I pretty much know, at least short term, 5, 10 years, what's going to happen. Beyond that, it's a very exciting time. All the areas we talked about will be addressed because there's a financial benefit to helping people. All of this is not for the, insurance will not, sponsor this for you out of the goodness of their heart. Insurance will sponsor this for you because it saves them money. And in the process, by the way, it'll also improve your life and be there to help you and say, maybe you shouldn't walk on that knee because you only had that happen a week ago, what have you, minimum required time for bed rest is 2 weeks, please, In other words, that's what I see happening. These robots will be our assistants, and so, and be our companions. And by the way, that's why we call the company True Companion, because we want these robots to be companions, to be confidants, someone we could go to hug and to hold and to love. That doesn't mean I don't have my wife, but I have Roxy on the couch in the living room and Roxy downstairs. So I guess I have 3 wives.
Threesome.
So maybe that's my future vision, is 3 wives for every person and 3 husbands for every woman.
tell everyone
I'm just
again how to
joking.
get in touch with you, your
Sure.
website.
So the website is truecompanion.com, spelled as it sounds, TrueCompanion, truecompanion.com. My name is Douglas Hines. Again, everything is in confidence, so if you reach out to me today, I will definitely respond. I'll take a look at it, and we'll go from there.
So I want to say thank you to you. Okay, I'm blown away that he was on Dr. Oz, everybody, and now he's here on the Geri Petito Show on Hamilton
Yes, we appreciate
Radio.
you so much for
Are
coming.
you kidding? Are you kidding? Okay, I want to thank you so much for taking the time for me. This was amazing. I want to thank you for enlightening me and making me realize how amazing these robots could be and beneficial and empowering. See, guys, we got to look at all the positive of what this man is doing, because you and I know that people need companionship. And I'm not talking sex, I'm talking companionship.
Right.
Okay? I also want to say this in closing. You will be making me an Elvis robot who is vegan, who sings and
Elvin.
gyrates, Elvin,
Elvin.
who sings and gyrates, and who plays poker and who plays chess. How about that?
Priscilla, we're just joking.
Okay? I love you, Priscilla. All right. So,
Hey, Jerry, you forgot. He's got to sing, too.
well, come on, that's in my poem. What, are you kidding me? Honey. All right. All kidding aside, this show was amazing. And again, I apologize, guys. I just couldn't have everybody call in. All right. I'm sure you all understand. But Douglas Hines,
Thank you.
you're a triple nerd, but that's a compliment. See, that's a compliment coming from me,
Thank you.
because what you're doing could really empower so many people in need.
Yeah.
I'm going to work with you. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to talk to this township, drug
great.
addiction, nursing
Yeah.
homes, all that. We'll talk about it, okay?
Yeah, and
So-
your listeners too. Reach out to
Yes.
us, and we'll work with you in confidence with your practice, your office, and we'll see what we move
Okay.
forward from there.
So, on that note, everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you.